What if you lost 19 years of your life? What would you think you did? Fraud? Slander? Manslaughter? What if, for speaking your opinion on politics, you were subjugated to 19 years of inhumane labor and cruel psychological torture? What was just described is the real life of Harry Wu, at the time a 23-year-old Jesuit student at the Beijing College of Geology. He was considered counter-revolutionary because he criticized the USSR's invasion of Hungary. This opinion sentenced him to a Laogai, a Chinese reform-through labor camp where he worked 7 days per week and 30 days per month. Each worker had to fulfill a quota. If he did not meet the quota, they would reduce his food or send him to solitary confinement. Prisoners had to make a confession for crimes, they couldn't practice religion, they would have to betray themselves. After he was released from the Laogai, Wu came to the U.S. as a visiting scholar at University of California, Berkeley in 1985 to work with the Civil Engineering Department. He cherished his freedom in these moments, only wanting to live out his freedom in the U.S. happily. It wasn't until 1990, when Wu was brought before the Senate to testify against the Laogai, that he started to become a leading figure of a new movement. Not only did he start to openly criticize the Chinese government, their Laogai, and their ambitions around the world, but also went back to China numerous times to reveal information related to the camps. He was the first to obtain footage of the labor camps with his 60 Minutes interview, but he also uncovered the organ harvesting of prisoners in the Chinese labor camps in 1994. He was captured doing this, but he was released 66 days later after many interest groups protested and lobbied the U.S. government. Wu still made many achievements beyond this, such as making the word Laogai a word in the Oxford English Dictionary, founding the Laogai Research Foundation, and opening the Laogai Museum to increase public knowledge on the issue. Wu died aged 79 in April of 2016.
In another camp in the capital of Qinghai province, these prisoners are processing sheepskin and making leather goods which, as we discovered, will end up in stores across America and around the world. The videotape was shot by Harry Wu, former Chinese political prisoner now living in California. He agreed at great personal risk, since he's still a Chinese citizen, to go back with a hidden camera to do what no outsider has ever done before: take pictures inside Chinese forced labor camps.
You spent a total of how much time in prison?
19 years.
19 years.
Harry Wu's crime? As a student, he spoke out against the Soviet invasion of Hungary. Not far from Beijing, Wu managed to get us into the Qinghe prison farm, where he spent 4 of his 19 years as a political prisoner, and where he says he was nearly starved to death. Entrance is strictly forbidden to anyone but labor camp personnel. But on this day, as we drove 15 miles from one end of the camp to the other, no one stopped us. We could never figure out why. Along the way, we could see prisoners at work building a canal with picks and shovels, which is exactly what Harry Wu did when he was
Wu's
in
work
this prison.
embodies most of what the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states. Article 2 relates because most of the prisoners are religious or political prisoners, and imprisoning them defies Article 2's grant of freedom. Article 4's condemnation of forced labor embodies the heart of the issue with the Laogai's reform through labor policy. Article 5 is relevant to the torture and treatment given to the prisoners in the Laogai, while Article 9 relates to the arbitrary arrest of prisoners and exile of other political prisoners. Finally, Article 19 relates to how prisoners, like Wu, were persecuted for their thoughts when they have the freedom to share them. As of today, there is evidence that these labor camps are still around. In 2014, NPR reported that there was a note in a woman's Halloween decoration from the Laogai, discussing the horrible conditions. In 2015, Beijing recently said they abolished the organ harvesting party, but according to BBC, they have not shown any evidence, and rights groups in the US have boycotted their invite to the organ trafficking summit this year. While rife with tragedy and sorrow, Harry Wu's life shows true perseverance. Even with 19 years of his life taken from him, he continued fighting to bring down a corrupt system that trampled on the rights of individuals to this day. While no longer alive, he is a shining example of a man who fought at every turn to make sure every person on this earth can experience true freedom.